Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of predicting the potential 55-man roster. I'm Caleb James. You can see my @name below, @CJ and make sure you're also following Arrowhead Live, Mahomes season, and Chiefs Take, as you want to be able to get the best Chiefs content possible, and these are the places that are going to provide it. Go follow us. Make sure you check up on my film reviews. Go check out the website, all of the other great writers, breakdowns, analysis, a lot of stuff about the draft recently up there, a lot of stuff about Mahomes' contract. Everybody's doing a great job, and we're hope that everyone else is doing fine. But now it's time to get in to this video where we're today going to talk about some specialists as well as some guys who I think could end up on the practice squad. All right, so getting into the specialists, obviously it was big news this week. The Chiefs cut Dustin Colquitt after 15 great seasons, and we wish Dustin nothing but the best of luck. He saw the worst times. He saw the best times. A constant professional, class act, and one of the best punters to do it in the NFL in his time as well. But we have to move on to the future, and the Chiefs have two punters currently on their active roster right now. Tyler Newsome has some NFL experience, has punted in the preseason, last for the Chargers last season, before he was picked up by the Chiefs in this free agency offseason. Right now, I'm going to give him the slight edge over the undrafted rookie free agent Tommy Townsend, only because he has that slight bit of a head start in the NFL, but this will be a competition that is going to be figured out throughout the preseason and training camp, whenever that may be. James Winchester, he's going to be the long snapper. They'll probably bring someone in just for him to compete with. He's been money. He's been consistent. He hasn't had too many mishaps. I can only really think of one against Tennessee this year on a play that could have sealed the game, but it looked like there was miscommunication from all three, Colquitt and Butker. But speaking of Butker, Harrison Butker is coming back again. He is probably set to be the Chiefs kicker for a long time, and in his young career, as he heads into his third season as being the Chiefs kicker this year, or fourth season, pardon me, he has really shown he has the knack for not only making big kicks, but making difficult kicks, and I think that you look no further to that than this kick versus Minnesota this year. Mahomes is out, the wind is howling, he had to make a couple of really long kicks. I believe that game winner was around 55 yards, and he just, in all the wind in this big game without the starting quarterback, he goes up, punches it through money. He was good all year in the playoffs. He was good all season. He's probably got one of the biggest legs. I mean, you see him on Twitter doing these 70-yard straight drives. He's basically kicking off into the goalposts. They'll probably bring someone in to compete with him, but he's going to be this unit, except for Newsome, Winchester, and Butker, they are going to be guys who I would consider very safe job security-wise headed into the season. So this is a very early projection. Obviously, there is no way this is going to be the same come when it's time for teams to start making their breakdowns. I mean, and especially with practice squad guys, because they can, as soon as the Chiefs cut them and try to re-sign them back, they can get picked up by other teams. This is just some guys who've either been around for a little bit, or who I think could have some kind of an impact, or who would be depth guys for the Chiefs to keep around. And the fullback in waiting is John Lovett, as he has been the undrafted guy. He played quarterback at Princeton in college, but he's converted to fullback, and he was a guy that was kind of on the radar for some. He's kind of a bigger guy. I think that they want him to be able to try to play fullback and tight end. He's kind of the guy in waiting behind Sherman, but they brought back Sherman again, obviously, with Sherman's great veteran leadership and skill as a player. It's going to be hard to replace him, especially in an offense like the Chiefs run, where they're not going to be getting into too many I formations or heavy personnel. But Lovett will be a guy to keep an eye on if they do have to cut him again and he gets sent to the practice squad. I would anticipate another team picking him up. And now Darrell Williams, not the running back, the undrafted rookie free agent. As I talked about earlier in my predicting the offense, I said that I think this is the guy that can come in and probably give Nick Allegretti a run for his money. He's an undrafted free agent. Allegretti was a 7th-round pick. There's not really that much of a difference there skill-wise in that position. Darrell Williams, I actually had, when I was breaking down the offensive lineman, I had a 5th-round grade on him. I was surprised to see the Chiefs were able to pick him up. He could be a guy, now keep an eye on. They would maybe want to keep him around on the practice squad or even elevate him to the 55-man a couple of times. This might be a guy that they want to sit a little bit this year and maybe let him watch and learn so that in the future he could be another one of those guys that they're kind of tuning up for the future along with like a Lucas Niang. And that brings me to my next couple of guys who are interesting. Khalija Lipscomb and Aleva Hifo. Both of them are undrafted free agent rookies. Lipscomb signed a very nice free undrafted deal for an undrafted rookie free agent. I believe it was over $100,000 guaranteed. So good for him for getting that, and that obviously shows they want him to be able to come in and compete with a guy like Jody Fortson, who might be on the bubble right away. And also that goes for Hifo as well. He's kind of a burner out of BYU. He's fast. He has big play potential. You can see why Andy Reid and Brett Veach think he would be a fit. And now some guys who've been on the team last year and who've spent some time around, who I think that just out of the coaches trusting they know what to do and do their job and will be like a good depth guy or just in case guy, they'll still be around. And I think that Nick Keizer falls perfectly into that category. Practice squad guy last year. I think that he will end up being on the practice squad again. I don't see any situation where he makes the 55-man, but I think that there's a strong possibility he could end back up on the practice squad. And then some defensive backs, Alex Brown and Chris Lamons. Alex Brown was on the field. He helped make the play in the divisional round where he's turned the running back. He turned the return man back into Sorensen when Sorensen hit him and was able to jar the ball free. So he'll be a guy to keep an eye on. They liked him a little bit on special teams. I think that he could be a plug-and-play guy on special teams right away. Same with Chris Lamons. And then we got Elijah McGuire and Mike Weber, backup running backs. I really don't see any shot for these guys being able to make the active roster, especially with the drafting of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that whole unit is already kind of built Andy Reid's trust. These guys will be guys who I could see keeping around for depth purposes, practice purposes, numbers, things like that. Tommy Townsend, as I mentioned earlier, undrafted free agent rookie out of Florida. He's got a little bit of boot in his leg now. We'll see how it translates to the NFL. I expect the Chiefs to try to keep him around as best as they can, even if they do go with Newsome. But this will be an interesting competition to watch as they head into camp to decide who will be the Chiefs' new punter will be. And Darius Harris spent some time in the linebacking room this last season for the Chiefs. Another guy who I think that if something happened to like one of the Chiefs linebackers, I believe they would trust him to go in and be able to make a play if he needed to, or at least be in the right position and also be a plug-and-play guy on special teams. And last but not least, Greg Sennett. You can never have too many offensive tackles. I know it seems like the Chiefs have a lot of guys on their roster right now that can play tackle, but being a guard that has to kick out to tackle, that's a big difference. Greg Sennett, he's a natural tackle. He's been around the team for a year. He was actually elevated to the 53-man roster last year, but he left on injured reserve after only a couple of weeks, I believe. So he should be back to full health, and he could be a guy, Greg Sennett, he could be a sneaky guy to watch out on. I know he was drafted 6th round out of Baltimore. Big guy, 6'8", 310 pounds, I believe. He could be a guy who I think could sneak into the 55-man offensive line, who could also, if he's able to stick around, could be active for some games. All right, that's gonna wrap up the breakdown of who I am predicting to be on the Chiefs' 55-man roster. Obviously, this is so early out. It's just after the draft. I just wanted to try to take a shot at looking at some of the new guys, the rookies, the free agents, the undrafted rookie free agents, taking a look and trying to figure out how all those guys would fit, along with bringing up guys who may not have been on the active roster last year, but who might have a chance to make it this year. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, make sure to check out all these great pages on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and go Chiefs.